the Eastern Cape capital, where several events are being held today to mark the 30-year anniversary of the Bhisho Massacre. 28 protesters and a soldier in the former Ciskei were shot dead by members of the former Homeland Defense Force on this day 3 decades ago, when more than 200 people were wounded when an estimated 80,000 people marched to Bhisho demanding democratic reform in the then Ciskei. We bring you another update on how the day is being observed from SABC News reporter Abongile Jantjies. Abongile, what are you seeing taking place now?
Well, Naledi, now the lecture is about to be delivered by Professor Luvuyo Wachela from the University of Fort Hare. Well, he is expected to touch on a number of key issues on how this day should be remembered going forward, on how what we can learn as the youth of today, 30 years. Well, what we can expect from him is that he is expected to touch on a number of issues, particularly when it comes to this day. He is expected to zoom in on what the youth of this province of the Eastern Cape can learn going forward with their lives, that the fruits of democracy that we enjoy today didn't come just merely free. Some people died for it. Some people, blood was shed on this. But to get more reflections from the Premier of the province, I'm now joined by him, Oscar Mabuyane. Very good afternoon to you, sir, and thanks a lot for joining us. I understand you're about to speak there, but thanks a lot for joining us. Your reflections on this day?
It's a day indeed. It's 30 years now ago. We're still actually thinking about that moment. A moment that would have costed us the life of the current president of the country, because he was part of those marchers. Close to 80,000 people were marching on this metal road towards Bhisho. We gathered here today to remember those who sacrificed for us to be where we are today. We gathered here today to commemorate their lives and also strengthen the families. Remember, there are also survivors of that the fateful day, those who are still with bullets in their bodies. A lot of work has been done. We're trying to cover. I know there hasn't been an easy road to be where we are today. As government, we have tried our level best to really do the best thing that we can to really remember these people. We have actually erected a monument here, Bhisho Massacre, where the Bhisho Massacre Foundation is currently operating from. We've given them offices there. We'll be also giving them tools of trade today to continue working so that this day doesn't actually disappear. We would be doing an injustice to those who are no longer with us. This is a freedom that didn't just come cheap or for free. A lot of things happened. We are a province that has contributed a lot to the freedom we are enjoying today in South Africa. Daughters and sons crossed the rivers, left this country, left this province to join camps for the liberation armies of different political organizations to make sure that our country is liberated. The only thing
about this precinct becoming a heritage site. I'm sorry to stop you there, Premier, but talks about it becoming a heritage site. How far are we in that regard?
We're working on that. Remember, there are some laws and very strict regulations towards that. You don't just stand up and declare. So there's a process that is being followed, and it must fully comply with current pieces of legislation for us to be where we're supposed to be. Yes, of course, our intentions are very clear. This must be a heritage site. It must be a heritage monument to make sure that it forever be there, even for future generations to come.
And coming to the families, some say, even though you are making your strides, but when are you picking up the pace? If someone who was shot there doesn't have a house today, but this happened 3 decades ago, so how do you justify that?
As I've indicated, Eastern Cape has got thousands and thousands. This is just but one activity or event that happened. We have got a lot of massacres in this province. You talk about Mtanzane, Ichitin, you talk about Kwalanga in UTNA, so you talk about Queenstown, you talk about Statarem. So there are a lot of those kind of situations. As government, we're building houses for destitute. They are part of the group that is classified as destitute. Those who cannot afford, others can afford. So we are able to assist those who really need. Yes, of course, as I'm saying, the queue is very long. But Bhisho Massacre is just one of such situations. Many went to exile, are now destitute. They are back. They've been soldiers. They spent 30 years in exiles as members of Mkondwesis. We are doing something about that as government to make sure that we're reaching out. So I'm just saying, in the basket of all issues that we have on how do we assist those who would have contributed. Some families are saying, if my father would have been still alive, that would be in a better situation. Hence, we've been putting everything together to ensure that we assist those kids, whether in the form of bursaries. Yes, government now is offering bursaries to every South African. If you go to university, you get an NSFAS. NSFAS now is a bursary. You just need to pass. Make sure that you get that. So we're supporting those families right across, and we would want to see change in their lives. But I'm just saying, yes, families might not be 100% happy, but in the last few years, we've tried to pick up. We've tried to solidify our relationship with them so that we move and work together, resolve problems. And I personally have been on the ground reaching out to different families, most destitute, trying to assist where we can. So there is work that government is doing, and we're institutionalizing that work to ensure that we cover almost all victims, all actually those who have been left stranded by all these kind of activities that took place in our province. So we've got a big actually database that we're dealing with over and above South Africans. South Africans as well, they demand what is due to them from government.
Thanks a lot for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Well, that was Oscar Mabuyane, the Premier of the Eastern Cape, reflecting on this day, which happened over 3 decades ago, saying that as government, even though it's at a snail's pace because of the backlog, but they are making their stride.